Okie dokie. So yesterday was, or I guess last night was the Game Awards, which admittedly I did not watch. I was too busy watching my daughter sing and do stuff for her Christmas show. But that's why we're here to do a full recap to take a look at all the fun things that were announced. And there was quite a bit. I think most people don't really necessarily watch the Game Awards for the awards. They more so watch for the announcements. And we have a lot of announcements to talk about today. A lot of bit of controversy to talk about as well. But let's go ahead and first start and talk about the actual winners of the show. And the biggest winner, I would say, Vera, would definitely be Expedition 33, as they 9 different awards, including Game of the Year.
Most for a game in the history of the award show.
That's right. And we had this from the New York Times, actually. New York Times came in with a big post. Blabs, do you have the archive link, please? I only have the main link here.
Yeah, I put in the doc and everything right there.
I do not see it. Maybe I'm just totally missing.
I literally just put it down below like a moron. Hang on, I have it for you right there. Deep.
All right, there we go. I got it. Excellent. All right. And New York Times actually wrote it. This is one of those things that I saw that the Game Awards was streaming on Prime last night. It was on YouTube. It is very much crossing over into the mainstream. I would say it is the Oscars of our industry. I think nobody can deny that. And if you do, yes,
yeah. To be fair, I mean, last year's Game Awards got more live viewers than even the Super Bowl. So, yeah,
it's a very big deal. And look, I just think that it's very hoity-toity and it's a giant circle jerk. That's just me. And I think most people agree with that, which is why we do ours. And it's an alternative. With that said, New York Times says a gaming tour de force. That is very, very French. And they talked about them just 12 nominations, 9 wins at the Game Awards, and Expedition 33 was a dominant force in the gaming space. And I got to be honest, I think most people knew that was going to happen last night. If you had any sort of pulse on the industry and what people were playing and what people were saying about it. Vera, you loved it, right?
I did. I loved Expedition 33. It was a phenomenal experience. I still wish that Silk Song won, maybe one more award. I feel kind of bad for the Silk Song team, but E33 getting the recognition it deserves is absolute cinema.
Well, some people were not happy that Expedition 33 did so well last night. We saw this tweet pop off with 26,000 likes and over 1 million impressions over on X. Hot take, no game deserves to win 11 awards. No game. It's unfair for a game to win 11 awards. Just imagine if one movie won half of the Oscars. I don't care how good
they have.
Return of the King.
Yeah.
Return of the King.
Titanic.
Yes.
Yeah.
It could be the best game that ever exists, but it shouldn't win 11 fucking awards. My point is that nothing should win 10 plus awards. Yes, movies have won 7 Oscars, but no movie has won 10 plus in 20 years. I'm just arguing that there was if there was a sweep this big in any other award show that actually happened, it would probably have the same reaction as the Game Awards. I muted, by the way. Follow me, blah, blah, blah. Muting and locking. By the way, because
I don't know. Maybe they should just blame the trash creatives in Hollywood for not creating something that is that praised.
Yeah. If you make something, whether it be film, whether it be TV, whatever it is, art in general, because gaming is art. If you make something so incredible visually, the storyline, whatever it may be, and people love it, it deserves accolades. And this game was deserving of those accolades, obviously. And so to say that a game or a movie or a show shouldn't win, you should put a cap on the amount of awards that something can receive, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
I actually think it's really one of the most retarded things I've ever witnessed in my life.
Yes,
if something
it
is. If something is fantastic, right? If something is Game of the Year, let's say, then why would it not also excel at all the categories that make up Game of the Year, right? So like art, direction, sound, of course, these are going to be there. It's not like it's the Game of the Year, but it had shit game mechanics, shit art style, shit music. That doesn't make any sense. If anything, a sweep actually makes the most sense, in my opinion.
I don't disagree. Vera, your thoughts?
I 100% agree.
The 9 categories that Expedition 33 won include Game of the Year, you mentioned that, Best Narrative, Best Music, Best Performance, Best Role-Playing Game, Best Independent Game, best debut indie title, best game direction, and best art direction. I mean, if it's the best at all, we talk about meritocracy all the time, right? If it truly is the best, there's no limit. This is there should be zero limit. If it's truly the best at all these things, you don't be like, well, it already won one. This is not a participation award, right? They have plenty of other of those at the Game Awards. But when you're talking about simply the best, lock it down and award the best. There should be no problem. And the fact that people are complaining about this is just such a fucking horrible statement of how internet bedridden these people are.
It's a common
hilarious.
take that everyone deserves everything. It's stupid.
Yep,
Sorry,
because they believe that, oh, well, everybody deserves a participation award. So, because this game, like Hades 2, for example, because Hades 2 was a good game, it deserves to win something, but those mean old Sandfall Interactive devs stole all the awards. It was the best in every single category, and that's why it won. Maybe you should be looking at the developers that didn't win anything and say, you should do better. But instead, of course, these people want to coddle these AAA developers who just didn't create good games this year.
Would somebody please think of the AAA developers? Please, for the love of God.
I mean, they got absolutely pummeled. Imagine how Ubisoft feels right now. They lost developers who went and started this studio, who went and made this game that we found out yesterday cost less than $10 million to develop. And then they sweep at the Game Awards. Yeah, I would be shaking in my boots right now if I was them.
I wonder if is there a gaming? This is voted by the fans, correct?
No, this is voted by industry.
It's 90% industry, 10% fan.
Then that's the issue with it.
Yes.
Right? Only 10% is voted by the actual players. That's why the real Game Awards exist. It's 100% voted on by voting members. That means players, industry, whoever wants to be a voting member can do it, but your vote is worth the same as everybody else.
Because I'm wondering if they get so much backlash for Expedition winning so many awards, if they're going to try and pull an Academy prerequisite to even be considered for a nomination.
That's the dumbest fucking idea I've ever heard in my life.
I agree. I think it's really dumb that they have all these rules now to even be considered for nominations for the Academy. But you never know.
Even the shills.
I just checked real quick. The Oscars, Ben-Hur, Titanic, and Lord of the Rings, 11 Oscars.
Yep.
Yeah. But even the shills know what the backlash would have been if they went against Expedition 33. And we've heard over the past 2 years, 50% of the journalists in the industry have been fired or laid off. Hey, I mean, I guess it's turning out well given the pool of people voting at the Game Awards is shrunk. So I could also play into it.
Jeff has an opportunity in a situation like this. All he needs to do is balance it out a little bit. Give the audience 50% of the vote. Like it would ruin the idea of our award show. I mean, straight up, there you go. It's very simple. Just give the audience a little bit of credit for playing the games. Don't make it so hoity-toity, because ultimately what's going to, you know what? Maybe he should keep it as it is, because what you're seeing here by these people over here who are just complaining about these awards, it would be interesting to see how much it would shift if they would still win 9 awards, or if things would have been tipped in another favor because everyone needs a participation trophy. I mean, let's not forget that had 25,000 likes on that. 25,000 people were like, yeah, we should give everybody a participation trophy. How fucking ridiculous is that? That's unbelievable. Epic Mike posted over on X, says the amount of people bitching about Expedition 33 is staggering. It's not like this happens every year or ever for that matter. We watched an indie studio come out of the gate with one of the best games anyone has played in the last 20 years for $10 million. Embarrassed every AAA studio in the business and reminded many folks why video games are just a hobby, but also an art form. I guess we shouldn't celebrate greatness when it happens. Let's just stamp out any and all outstanding quality and praise everything equally. Make sure no one gets snubbed and feels left out, because that's the way the world works.
No, it doesn't. And, you know, when your favorite doesn't win, you're sad, sure, but you get over it. I mean, growing up watching the Grammys and the Oscars, sure, you wanted your favorite artist to win their Grammy. They didn't, and you're like, oh, well, that sucks. You move on. It's not your life. It's not your award.
Well,
Shut
yeah,
up.
but another major reason why I believe we're seeing all of these freakouts is because of the activists not getting their way. They wanted something like Hades 2 to win because it checks off every box. And when an Expedition 33 comes along and it puts entertainment value above a narrative or pushing an agenda, that doesn't look good for the activists that have convinced the higher ups at these AAA companies that, oh, if you push this diversity quota a little bit further, you're going to make more money. Oh, if you start representing even more types of people, it will surely pay off one day. And that hasn't happened. And now you see them lashing out at the good game that deserved to win.
If anything, Expedition 33 should, not just from an awards perspective, but from an industry perspective, it should set the standard on how to make games from here on out. I've talked about this. If somebody gave me $100 million to make video games, they're like, listen, Craig, you got your own studio, make your games. I would make $25 million games. That's what I would do. You know what? I'd probably do 10 $5 million games and then a bunch of like $2 million games. I would just go crazy. Let people have as much creative freedom as they want. Make the game you see. Here's a box of money. Here's your start day. Here's your end day. We'll check in on there. But small teams creating big projects. That's how some of the best games literally ever created were made. Mortal Kombat, made by four people. Four, right? This is a team that made less than $10 million. This should be the blueprint for the entire industry. We should not have $100 million budgets for games ever.
Also, I don't know if you guys had picked up on it, but when Hollow Knight Silksong had won its award, Jeff goes, oh, look, haha, you guys got something. It's such a snarky, rude comment. And there was no one from Team Cherry there. So it's like he was pissed that they didn't take his award show seriously. And then he made this backhanded comment right after they won. Like, oh, at least you won something. Like, what the hell? It just shows the mentality. I mean, Jeff has never really been for the gamers or for the people. He's just another corpo shill. But man, comments like that really make it hard to want to even watch those events going forward. It's just a jackass move. Yeah.
Jeff is the epitome of the corporate video game industry.
Yeah.
Like if there was a face for it, it's Jeff Keighley. Whether he likes it or not, no matter how down with the kids he is or whatever, he is and you know what? I think he's fine with it because he's getting $1 million for a 3-minute ad on his award show. And honestly, probably rightfully so with the audience that he has. You know, I go back to is the Game Awards for me, you know, I'm glad that it exists, but I think there's a much larger. I think there's an audience out there that I'm not going to say much larger, but I do think there's an audience out there that it's not necessarily for. I think it's great that it exists, but I don't think that gamers want to wear suits and ties at award shows. But that's just me. But yeah, I mean, good on them. I think this whole thing is silly. The idea that Expedition 33 is getting any sort of backlash should be the standard moving ahead. So.
It's tricky. I can understand the developers wanting to be at a Keighley kind of award show, but as far as the audience, it's really in my opinion, missing the mark of what gamers like and what they want to see. So I can understand a bunch of artists and writers wanting to feel like their work deserves the respect and accolades that they get. I understand that. But as far as a gamer show, it doesn't make any sense to me. In the same way that I don't understand if this was like a sports awards, if it's really hoity-toity, I wouldn't it's missing the mark for me, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I've said this for a long time. I think that if they made the voting 50-50, it would be vastly different because gamers would actually feel like it's more for them and not, yeah, we understand there's going to be some advertisements, right? They need to make money so that they can do it. Maybe not $1 million for a 3-minute ad.
Right.
But regardless, if gamers' voices were more important, and then you also were, yes, at the same time, maybe allowing developers like a little bit more time on the stage to talk. I just think that there would be a lot more. I think people would be a little bit happier with it.
Are you tired of all the nonsense? Yeah, you are. Hit the subscribe button right here and join us.